Hey there, greetings and welcome to another Modeling on the Fly with 3ds Max as we keep on working on this thing, the great big AT-AT Walker style device, creature, vehicle stuff. Now, I had started working on the underside of the head area, and what I wanted to do in this video is kind of knock out the funny little thing. I keep calling it the center console. It really is kind of like a car center console turned upside down. Now, in the last video, all of this stuff back here, this back image plane went gray, and I was just in modeling mode in my own little world, and I hadn't actually noticed that I had switched off show the map, so it was like this. And I'm sure one or two of you saw it, and you're like, oh, check that out. But honestly, I was just playing with polygons, and I wasn't even thinking of that. It happens, so let's jump right in, and I've got to find a semi-decent picture. I like that this kind of gives me an idea of the depth, right? But we don't see a lot of detail because the picture is so grainy because it looks like the lighting was terrible, and whoever was shooting it had this fear of flashes or didn't have one installed, or maybe it was in a place where they say if you use flash photography, we'll hit you with sticks. So let's see here. We've got all of this. This actually is pretty good. So that combined with our image plane, I think we can get a general idea, because what I'm seeing in a lot of these pictures is that console area sort of parallels these descending armor plates on either side, so it's going to kind of hide behind those. You can see that kind of reflected here, so from front to back, it sits kind of behind that armor plate, and its shape almost parallels it. It just extends a little further. So we can use that, and we'll use the depth of the armor plate to figure out how far down it should go. So to begin, let's go to the Create panel, and let's make a box. And I'm just going to draw a box. I know I have to turn the camera kind of a funny angle because all of this looks like one flat gray plane. And make sure auto grid is on. And let's just draw a box right here someplace. And then we'll give it a little bit of height. It doesn't really matter how much at this point. Now, I was pretty sure that this stuff didn't taper very much, but it looks like it actually does. So let me see if I can fix that, because I don't really want this box, this center console-ish kind of thing, and forgive me if I keep calling it that. I really don't want this to taper a whole lot. So let me hit F4 so I can see some edges, and we should be able to fix that. Let's see here, if I hit, well actually we want to get this guy and then hit 4 and grab his faces. Now I've already got the faces on either side because it looks like I just got done scaling those in the previous video. Ignore back facing is good. Let's select by angle of around 10 degrees. And let's just see what happens if we planarize these, and I never planarize in the right direction the first time through. So Z looks pretty good, and that straightened that out nicely. So let's grab this and planarize that in Z as well. However, are they... Yeah, they're probably still nice and straight. My little box I drew, I'm sure isn't, so let's fix that next. So let's get you, and there we go. So that should center that up. And that looks like it's going to work out pretty well overall. Okay, so without any further ado on that, let's convert this over to an editable poly so we can start playing with stuff. And I'll jump over to faces. Give me these faces here. And let's see. Oh, also, I wanted to kind of throw this out. If I fall out of what I call VTM mode, and I just kind of start chattering at some point and just talking about random stuff, I do hope you'll forgive me or at least turn the sound off. Because honestly, for me, recording like this is kind of surreal. Or modeling like this, I guess is a better way to put it, is kind of surreal. Because usually, if I'm modeling, I've got music blaring and all kinds of things. I usually don't model in absolute peace and quiet. So if I start just talking to you, I hope that doesn't bother any of you. And if you don't like the topic I'm talking about, then I totally understand, because I probably come up with some weird stuff. All right, so let's see here. Boom. The front face needs to be slid back a little bit. The back face, we're going to taper back. Basically, this little area here, I'm just going to treat like one face. We'll take the bottom face and scale it down so we can get that kind of inner taper. Now, understand, it looks like all of this is kind of like one wall. But on mine, it's going to be 2. The detail's so close, I don't think anybody's going to care. So we need to get this guy, we need to slide him back, we can grab this one as well and slide them both back. Let's jump over to a left view, and we can shade stuff up, or shade it down technically, so we can see what's going on. Let's see, I'm going to jump over to vertices. Excuse me, and let's see. Yes, you. I want these vertices. Thank you. And we'll slide those up so they kind of tuck in behind everything. And yeah, coming along. So these can go back a little bit further. We'll just make that parallel. And we've got an interesting shape here. We're going to end up having to extend a little bit. In fact, I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work the way I want it to, but we're going to try it anyway. Let's get back over to perspective so I can see, and because seeing is important. And let's jump over to edges. Let me grab this edge, and I'm going to chamfer it. So chamfer! Shoom. Lots of chamfering. Extreme amounts of chamfering. And we'll click OK. And then... well, let's see. I would next like to grab my slice plane. Well, you know, you say that, Zach, and you probably don't really want to use the slice plane. Hang on. Let me try this. I don't know if this is going to do exactly what I want it to do, but do I ever? Well, okay, yeah, hang on. What I want to do, let me give you kind of the brain thing, what's going on in my head. I want to make this cutaway here, and there's a bunch of different ways to do it. What I was thinking was insetting this back face and extruding that in, and then just chopping out and rebuilding. I could make a couple of cuts that run just along the inside wall and basically define the thickness of the walls on the left and right side of this shape. Now, from this image, of course, it's top and bottom. I'm saying left and right in relation to what the head's doing. And that might make things a little easier. So let's start there. The only thing is I don't want to have to be all precise on both sides, so I'm tempted to use the slice. Well, actually, let's just do this. You know, just shut up and do it, Zach. You know, jeez. These people are tired of listening to you talk. Actually, if you're tired of listening to me talk, this is really, really not the series for you. Okay, let's connect these. By one segment? That's not at all what I wanted. Cancel that real quick. Let's do an edge ring before we try to connect. So ring these, and then do a connect, and then let's connect two of these, click OK, grab the result, let's scale them apart from one another, and that gives us a nice thickness, which I like. Now, let's switch over to this edge. Let's ring this. Come here, ring. Boop. And let's connect those. Not that many times, please. So, boom, just one connection. And click OK. And let's slide this back. Yes. And that seems to look pretty good to me. Now, this is where it starts to get kind of cool, because we should be able to grab... Well, a couple of ways you could do that, Zach. Let me try this. I don't know if this is going to do what I want it to do, but, you know, it's one of those you never know until you break it kind of things. If we grab this guy, and we should be able to break those vertices. Did that do what I wanted to? Yes, it did. Okay. So now let's go over to edges. Give me this edge, and we pull that straight up, and give me this edge, and we pull that straight up as well. Okay, awesome. Now, what I want to do, this is where it starts to get a little spooky, is I want to basically flatten out this face. So let's just get close, and then I'll grab you, I'll buy your lonesome, and we'll align you, well, I guess not Y, in Z. That'll work, so that's nice and flat. Now, let's jump back over to vertices and grab Grandmaster Target Weld Tool. And we'll just weld you down there, and weld you down there. And then we can jump over to borders, and get this border, and say cap. And get this border, and cap some more. And then because it's annoying, we can grab the whole thing. Oh, did you see that? What in the world? Did you cap? Oh, you know what? Yeah, haha. Ha, I knew that was going to happen. I did, I promise. We need to grab these vertices here and make sure that they weld. So let's see here. We got 2 vertices selected, weld, and we just have 1. Ha-ha! That's boomtastic. All right, cool. Now, borders! And now we try to cap, and now things should not look terrible. Or, well, less terrible anyway. Okay, cool. Now, again, because I'm annoyed by it, I want to fix our smoothing groups, and by fix, I mean more or less remove. So let's just set this down to like 0 and auto smooth. Okay, so yeah, that's working. Now, what other things can we do quickly and easily and make people happy? Well, we can flatten out this back wall and make it more or less horizontal, well, vertical, I think would be the word there. I'm not going to fill this in with greebling just yet. We'll do that here in just a bit. First off, let's take a look. We can't go back any further here. We have to kind of flip around to a couple of other pictures. Now, this particular model shows just a ton of depth in this. Like, it just like a deep dish model kind of thing. And I'm not sure if I dig that, but who cares what I like, right? Now, here we can see the back of this center console tapering back, and I've already got the detail I need to make that happen, so that makes me really happy. And what else? And that doesn't tell us much. This gives us a really nice indicator of the overall depth of this piece, and I really, really like that. So let's work with that. Okay, first off, we're going to take these faces, and I'm going to have my moment where I gripe a little bit about not being able to just shift, drag out, and extrusion, because that's kind of obligatory at this point. And you know what? Let's pull that back just a little bit. I'm going to do kind of a trick, more for myself than for anybody else. Let's pull it back to about here, and then click apply, and then give me just a little bit more to define kind of a thickness of a back wall, and then click OK. So now I've got an area that I can surround. Now, let's grab this edge, and we'll pull it forward, just kind of get it close to being vertical. We could probably just leave it at being close to vertical, but if we wanted to be real sticklers about the whole thing, we should be able to just planarize it in Y, and then that looks really nice. It kind of skewed these edges a little, so if we want to slide those up and straighten those back out, we can. And that all seems to be working so far. So now let's see, what else? So that tapers back, that goes all the way to the back edge, and we've still got to do the closing spot that kind of fills in the back wall, so that's coming soon to a theater near you. And so now I pull this back to about here. It looks like I should probably get out of subobject mode. And let's see, I want to make these planar in Y, I think. No, not Y, because it changes for every object. What I should do is just switch on local axes, and then I know for sure, but I never do. I just don't. And that'll do for now. Now, a couple of things. This couple of faces here. So we grab this dude, polygons, get you, and these need to be extruded in just a little. So we'll pull those down inside, just a tiny little bit negative. Doesn't need to go very far, because all that's going to do is give us some thickness we can play with here. So now I can grab edges. I get this guy, and I get this guy. Well, okay, not that guy. This guy and this guy, yes. And don't try to zoom out the way you would in Maya. And pull this down and slide it maybe a little bit forward. It's different when you're making it up on your own. And, okay, so that looks pretty good. Now, another thing that we haven't done yet, and we need to, is we need to define a certain amount of thickness for the bottom kind of wall here. So to do that, I think I am going to use a slice plane. We don't really have to. There's a lot of different ways we could do this, but I'm going to use the slice plane. So let's turn that on, and it's already nice and horizontal, which is exactly what I want. Just define that thickness. That looks pretty good. Click slice, turn it off. That's all I needed, folks. Now, let's see. We can find a front view. I just want to check something. Yeah, it's all in shadow, so nobody knows. Oh, that's good. Okay, so the underside of this is pretty much flush with the bottom, which is good. That's the way I've designed it so far, so that makes me glad. Now, let's grab this polygon. Oh, I can't say this because then I sound like Jar Jar. So now let's extrude, and we'll slide this in. And click OK, and then we'll make that planar in Y, and that looks okay. We'll just have to clean it up a little, which is fine. Just pull that back a little ways. And let's grab this, and we'll make it planar in Z. And then pull it down a little bit. Back to, well, yeah, nah, that's all right the way it is. Okay. Now, we need to fill that in with some grading work. First off, I'm going to take this polygon and nuke it. We just don't need it. We need to fill that in, but I also need to taper this whole box down a little. And we don't see much here. And there's a little bit back here on the image plane, but I'm not going to count on that. We'll just pretend I'm not worried about that. And let's go to modifier, and let's drop on an FFD 2x2x2. Grab the control points, pull these guys in, scale it all together. And how much tapering do we want? I mean, I'm not going to worry about precise angles. I really don't care enough about that, but just something to give me some general idea. Yeah, you see, it's got a nice little taper to it. So that works. Probably right about there would be okay. Maybe do a tiny little bit more, just because it looks cool. Yeah, I think we can go with that. All right, so now we're done there. Convert this back over to an editable poly to get rid of any remaining taperish stuff. And now we can fill that in with some grading. Now to do that, of course, I'm just going to create a basic shape to jam in there. So we got auto grid, we got a box. Let's just make a little tiny, thin, strippy sort of thing. And let me frame up on it so I can see it. Let's take its length, and we'll push that up. Now I'm going to end up having to tweak that on all these guys, which is okay. I could use a chamfer box, but I just really don't want to. Though there's a certain benefit to doing it that way. Let me just go ahead and give it a try. If I don't like it, I can always fix it later, right? So let's see. If I use the good old chamfer box, drag this like so, give a little bit of height, and then, oh, look at that. A little bit of chamfer to round it out. Now we can take that length and push it all the way up through. And we can slide this guy over here, and it pokes through the side. See, that's what I'm going to have to fix a little later. Also, I'm going to slide this forward. Of course, we can reposition it when we're done. I realize that. Now, let's see. If I shift drag, let's say I don't want to use the array maker tool. What if I just shift drag somebody right about to here? And then, I can't use an instance, but we can, actually, I should use the array maker. That way I at least have a little more control over what's going on. So position your screen so that you can kind of see stuff, because you're about to open up a modal window, which everybody loves, especially me. And grab the array tool, and make sure you click preview so you can see what's going on. And let's see here, incremental will probably be just fine for us. So let's see, thump. That's a little too much. Let's try point. Oh, I don't know. 8.5. Looks not too bad. Let's see. Can I get away with pressing F4? No, it's probably not going to do anything for me. But so that's obviously way too much. Let me see what happens if I set this to 0.9. What do we get? Tiny little bit of gappage in there, which I actually kind of like. In the end, that's all going to be, darkened up to shadow anyway, so we'll have nice divisions in between each one. So now I'm just going to boost up the count until I reach all the way across this shape. That looks pretty good. We don't need that last one, so boom, right about to there. And then click OK. And now we just have a couple of guys here that are hanging out the sides, so we'll go into the Modify panel. And let's pull down, not their height. Their height's fine. We need to pull down their length. Oh, they were all lovely. Lovely, Zachary, lovely. Let's undo that. Go back over to array. Ah, they were set to instance. I didn't even notice. I wasn't even looking at that. All right, preview. That all looks good. So just set those to copy, please. Thank you. I mean, most of the time that's okay, but this time, no. Because I need to pull down the length on an individual basis. And this actually can be really short. Let's do both sides at the same time. So let's get you two. Oh, you don't want to let me? Fine, be that way. You know, just be that way. So we'll pull that down until we can't see it anymore. Slide it up. Center it, and then just pump until it fits. And we got to do the same thing over here. So down with the length. Slide up a little bit. And that looks pretty good. Now we got this guy to clean up a little. Now, this can... Actually, we probably just could have done this with the other one as well. We probably didn't need to worry about the length at all. But what I'm going to do... Oh, so it's just a little bit of random draw through. We can't even really get to that. I see. But you know what? Just to be a little extra paranoid, to put some extra paranoia sauce on top of our work, I am going to slide this up just a little. There you go. So now we know it doesn't poke through. Now, let's see, let's do a couple of things. Remember to pull back a little. That wall could be a little thinner. It could be, but you know what, Zach, don't worry about it. Just roll with it, man. Just roll with it. Let's see, materials, and get you, and then we're going to drop on our stuff there. All right. Looking good so far. What else have we got? Now I need to select this guy. I'm going to pull him down for a moment. It looks like I still got a face here that I do not want. So let's go to faces and give me this guy, and I want that completely gone. Now, I'm also going to switch over to edges. Let's grab this edge. Actually, notice I'm making a marquee selection, so I'm grabbing a few edges at a time here. And let me very carefully scale these guys apart from one another until we sit pretty much right there on that edge. That's all I'm really looking for. All right, now let's jump over to edges on this guy again, and I want this. What happens if I loop? Do I get kind of everything I want out of life? I mean, not really, but loop these lower edges, and if we loop those, we don't go very far, which is okay. I wonder if those are broken. I guess I'll know here in just a moment. Okay, that's stretched pretty much all the way down and got me some stuff that I didn't want. Oh, probably because we're reaching back up over the top, which is all right. I'll deal with that shortly. And loop. Loop. All right, cool. And, you know, I'm going to go ahead and grab these guys too. I don't really need to, but it's just going to make me glad. And in the end, that's as important as anything. Now, I don't need this edge or this edge, and I don't need this edge or this edge, but I do need this one. And I need these two. All right, cool. Now let's try a chamfer. Ooh, not that much chamfer. That's insane. And click OK. And get out of editable poly. Press F4. And there we go. All right, cool. Now, plugging right along. Let's see. I know we got a little bit of a plate sort of thing on the underside. Okay, yeah, we got another one of those little indented plate-like areas that we can put in pretty quick. And then we just kind of switch over to all the greebling stuff up in here, which a lot of that I'm just going to be, sort of making up. Now, these would be pretty easy to do, so we'll handle those. But let's just start right here. Let's come back to this shape. Come here, you. And let's go back to faces. And we'll get this face right here. And this is quick and easy. In fact, you can't really ask for much more. Let's just go to here and click apply. And let's press F4 so we can kind of see what we're doing. And we'll make another inset to right about there. Click OK. Now, let's see if I can do this. Let's grab you, and then ring, and then control switch over to polygons, which is great. And then we will bevel with just a little bit of negative height and a little bit of negative outline. And then we'll apply, and then kill off the outline and click OK. So there you go. So now if we get out of that and have a quick inspection... Yeah, nice. All right, now there are also some panels on the sides that I've seen in certain shots. You can kind of see it here. And I'm going to simplify these. I mean, there may be some cutaways or, they may not be perfectly square. I'm just going to make it perfectly square and go on from there. So let's jump back over, grab... Yeah, I don't want to use a chamfer box. It's just that ends up with too many faces on the back that I don't need. So let's go back over to standard primitives, grab a box. Auto grid is on, and we got to cheat a little. So I'm going to draw a box that does this, and then give it some height. And then we're going to move this guy. We could just move it in view, and that'll be all right. But see, the reason I'm cheating, or the reason I say that, is you notice we have two angles here. This guy's perfectly vertical, and this one isn't. So let's see here. Let me switch over to local. And he's just kind of sticking through. But you know what? I don't mind. It's going to be pretty much masked away by the cannons anyhow. So, all right. So right-click, convert to editable poly. Hit 4, grab U. Let's see if we can do a quick bevel. Right-click, right-click. Somewhere around 0.25-ish. And then offset amount of 0.25-ish, somewhere around there. And there you go, we have a plate. And then I suppose if you just really, really felt the urge, and let's just pretend for a moment that I do, you could say, boom, and a tiny little bit here, and then boom, and a tiny little bit here, and then we'll put a little handle guy over here. And it's just kind of for the fun of it. Now, let's do this. Let's grab you, go down to attach, and we'll just make all these part of the same object for simplicity's sake. And then we'll grab all of these, and we'll do another bevel, and click OK. And there we go. So now we can just grab our material, drop that on, and we've got this cool kind of plate just, sitting there doing its thing. Now, well, I won't worry about getting that over on the other side. Let's get the cannons and all that. Once we get everything over, we'll just mirror it over to the opposite side, and everybody's going to be happy. Now, if we move on from here, we've got this sort of interesting detail work that takes place here on the underside of all this. So let's see about getting some of that in. Now, right here at the angle is where we have kind of this raised, elevated plate area that's got these guys. Now, depending on the picture you're looking at, this can have a lot of depth or it can have a little depth because this doesn't look like it actually goes very deep. It's hard to say because it's a dead-on shot, but obviously the shadowing indicates a great deal of depth here and not a lot here. Where on this photo, I mean, it really looks like it sinks in very far. So, you're the modeler. Make it up as you go. Interpret it. Because unless you've got like a hardcore Star Wars technician hovering over your shoulder, nobody's going to care anyway. And even the hardcore technician's probably going to be like, wow, you made an AT-AT walker. That's awesome. So let's see, which is always good, right? So let's just grab a box, and I'm just going to kind of fit it in here right down to this point where the taper begins. We'll give it a little bit of height. I'm going to play with a few things. Hang on a moment. Let's grab this guy again and jump over to vertices. And I'm going to change some stuff around here. We're going to slide this back to line up pretty well with what's going on here. And then I'm going to move the camera, grab all these guys, and slide them up a ways. Okay, now we can get out of editable poly mode here. Let's grab our little box that we just made. Thank you. And we'll slide the... Well, we probably don't need to slide it around too much just yet. Let's get it... get its length edited. Get its width edited, because I really want it to fit right there in that area very nicely. Let's make sure we hit F4, because I want to know how many divisions we have on it. And the reason why is that if we look at this much more detailed shot right here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 little gaps that I'd like to see those in there. I think that would be great. Now, to do that, we need 8 plus 1 total divisions. Well, I think that's right. I don't know. We'll see. But this is why I don't worry about the math, because I can sit here and stare at it. So let's see. We have width segments. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total areas, but we need twice that many. So let's go up to 16. So now I have 1, 2. Now notice I'm skipping every other one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I miscount on that? No, I didn't. So I think that'll work. No, that is wrong. So it's going to be plus 1. Ha-ha! Fantastic. So yeah, this is why you double check. Yep, that's what I want. Okay, now let's do at least... I'll do a couple of width segments just to kind of help me out right off the bat. Excuse me. Now, I think we can go ahead and convert that. So convert that over to an editable poly. And, well, I didn't really want to leave that. So let's grab edges now. And this guy, and we'll loop this and slide it forward. And that's working pretty well. So that works now. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's only 6 of those on the front. Okay, then we'll make those separate objects. No big deal. I want this guy as a loop, and I want to pull that forward for a bit of tapering. Okay, that's working all right so far. I want this guy. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it this way. Let's ring and connect once. That'll just give me a new edge to play with. Now, this is going to control the back of those grooves right here. So we want that to be fairly close. Say about to here. Now, let's switch over to faces and grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, looks good to me. And we'll do a tiny little bevel with a negative height. This will be a really small bevel. 0.14, and let's just do 0.14 as well. So, and click apply. Now we'll remove the outline and just go in a lot deeper with these guys. So that really sinks in. Click OK. Now, I'm seeing something like these little tiny, whatever those are. And I mean, I'm interpreting them as raised areas. Whether or not they are, I really don't know, and I'm not much concerned with it, frankly. So what I'm going to do is just grab all of these faces. Like so. Let's do an inset by polygon to about there. Click OK. I'm going to slide all of these forward a little bit. And then we'll just do a bevel. This time not a negative bevel. We'll run these outward. Bevel down. Click OK. And then I'll slide all of them forward just a little. All right, now I'm going to get out of there. Let's drop on our material. Let's press F4 and just kind of see what that looks like. Oh, there we go. Cool. Now, let's see. We've got these little 6 guys up here at the front, which are just some really, really basic shapes. So what I'm going to do to make those is just draw out a box, like so, and then we'll give that some thickness. I'll just go ahead and immediately convert that over to an editable poly, grab edges on it. We'll grab this edge and just, oh, I probably still had a ton of divisions on that guy, didn't I? No good. So boom, boom, kill off those divisions, and then convert it. So there was some undo action in there, if you didn't notice. And now I can grab this guy, get edges, slide back like so, grab polys, and let's go ahead and pull this up a little bit like so. Let's get edges here, and we can just chamfer this. Add a couple of segments for some rounding. And just sink that into the shape a little bit. Now we need a total of 6 of these. So what I'm going to do is just move this kind of to an arbitrary location. Shift drag out something like a decent gap. And we're going to make 5 copies. Now what I'll do is just grab all of them together. And I'm just going to center them up. Just in X. So something right about there. All right. So there's all those. Now we got some random greebles in here. You know, I'm just going to slap some stuff in real fast, but I'm not going to worry about those right now. Let's get these kind of repetitive things here on the back end. And since the back of this cuts off, and we can't really see if that's the back wall, we kind of have to guess how many there are. Now this guy shows 4, and then we have the cutoff, and that's probably right. So we need to fit 4 of those right back here, which is cool, and of course no big deal. Let's just start with a box. And I'll make it a size that looks like about 4 of those would fit. Okay, we are kind of making it up as we go anyway, right? And I want to do a couple of quick changes just because I'm staring at it and it looks like it could help. Let's grab all of this. And we're going to sink it down into the shape just a tiny bit. We can't go too far. Unless we start changing the overall height of all this. Now, I want this guy again. We'll slide that up. Now, obviously some changes need to be made here, but before we do that, the overall theme of these is that they're almost like little vents, it looks like to me. Like in and of themselves. There we go. So they've got this kind of slat work. Now, yeah, it's very, very basic. So what I'm going to do is just totally fake that. Just ridiculous amounts of faking. Let's go ahead and just convert this over to an editable poly. Let's get edges. Come here, you. Give me this guy again. Thank you. 2, grab you, ring, chamfer. And something about like so. Click OK. Now give me these guys. And, you know, I usually wouldn't, but let's go ahead and ring these. And then I'm going to connect them a lot. So lots of little connections. Click OK. Now, a couple of other things. Let's get the cut tool. And we'll just connect these corners. All right, now let's switch over to polygons. I want to grab by angle. 45 should be fine for what I want to do. Just make sure we're not cutting. I want this whole thing, and we want to do one great big inset. Not that much either, so just a little bit to create kind of a wall. Now this is kind of like my interpretation of what's going on here. I notice it doesn't look exactly like all of the ones you see. So now we're going to extrude this inward. Like so. Click OK. Now with all those guys still selected, well, we're going to have to change some edges. So let's grab this guy. Nah. Heck with it. Let's just switch over here. Let's just bevel, and this will be by polygon. And we'll go up a tiny amount, and then we'll bevel a tiny amount. Now also, switch back over to edges, grab any one of these, ring that, switch over to faces, and let's do another bevel and make the communication center go away. We can do this as a group, and tiny little bit of height. Click OK. Get out of here. Drop on our material. F4. Cool. So now we need a total of 4 of these. We may need to rescale that, but that's all right. If we have to do that, we have to do that. So also we'll have to change it a little because it's crossing over the center line, and we really can't have that. Now, I don't really like scaling entire objects. It's just a personal pet peeve, so I like to, if I'm going to do a scale, I like doing it at the sub-object level whenever possible, because that doesn't actually change the scale of the object, which is, of course, helpful if you're parenting later. So now let's see here. Let's just, let's not do that. Cancel that. Selecting through the gizmo is my favorite thing. All right, you. Awesome. Okay, and shift drag, and then we'll say 2, 3, 4. No, just 3. Ha! That looks pretty good. Now, we could snug that up a little bit, I think. Well, let's do it this way. First off, let's switch back over to the element level, and then I'm going to scale it up this way a little bit. Make it just a little bit thicker. Now let's come back, and I'm just going to make it easy on myself. Let's just use the array tool again. And of course, that's the wrong direction. And we'll kill back the count a little. Now in Y, that's not it. Oh, well, I guess if you turn your count up, Zach, it starts to look a little nicer. So we only need a total of 4, and just spread these out until they fit. 10 looks like it actually fits pretty well, but we could go a little better, so let's do 10.5. Oh, that looks really nice. I can definitely deal with that. So I think that works. Let's go ahead and click OK. Now, I sunk those down just a second ago. I pushed them down into the shape. I'm actually going to kind of fix that. Let's pull these down a little. And then I'm going to grab a box and make a little elevated area that these sit on. Kind of a personal preference thing. And we'll convert that to an editable poly. Let's grab edges, press F4 so we can see those edges. It does make things a lot easier. Get this guy and make a ring, and get all of this. So can we just make all that go away for a minute? Yeah, because I grabbed the wrong edge. I want this edge. And then this edge. And then we can go ahead and run a quick chamfer. Drop on our material. F4. And there we go. So I know I've run over my usual time allotment here. I acknowledge that, but I'm so close to finishing this spot up. It looks like if I take a look at the pictures, all I need is some sort of random greebling. So we got some pipes, some boxes. And you know what? I'm going to leave this to you if you want to make it more detailed than what I have, or what I'm about to do here. I usually don't want to do this, but I'll tell you what, just because I'm in a rush, and sometimes you're just in a rush, right? Let's do this. And then we'll do this. And yeah, so then do one of these. And that's probably about all we really absolutely have to have. We can also grab, a couple of things like right in here. Actually, you know what? You never really see this anyway. But that doesn't mean I'm going to leave it alone. I'm just going to do something else because I feel like it. Let's grab this guy, hit 4, give me this face, do an inset right about there, click OK, press F4, do another inset, like so, jump over here, get edges, this guy, ring, switch over to faces, and we'll bevel. And apply, and then drop out the outline, and OK. So there we go. Now let's go back over to create. I'll grab one more chamfer box, and we'll just make a little dude like right here. Now, I need to fix all these chamfer boxes up because they're a little over the top. They're way too rounded as far as I'm concerned. So let's take the fillet segs back to 1 on each of them. And that fillet is a little heavy on some of them as well. Okay. Now let's convert them all to editable poly. And I'm not going to worry about, well, okay, I mean, I could. I know I could go in and delete those back faces, and I probably should. But just because I'm in a rush, I'm not gonna. I'm just going to push these into the shape a little bit, call it even. Let's go back to create, and I need to get a tube. And see how that normal really makes that kind of round out? You got to watch out for that. So let's get out of there. Select this guy, hit 4. Actually, let's just hit 5. Let's get the whole element, and let's just kill out our smoothing groups. As a matter of fact, because I am lazy and I don't want to do it for everybody at once, let's just attach all these guys together. And then grab all these elements. Oh, he lost his rounding. Do you see that? I must have right-clicked something I shouldn't have. Let me fix that before I do anything else. You, come here. Oh, you're still on editable poly. That's no good. What on earth happened to you? Oh, weird. Okay, well, I must have hit some button somewhere, and I don't even know which one at this point, but that's okay. And that's still a chamfer box. No, that needs to be an editable poly too. So you convert. Okay, cool. Everybody's happy now. Convert everybody. Thunk. Excellent. Now, I'm going to attach all these together, hopefully. So let's just get one of them. Click attach and get you, and you. Fantastic. Now let's switch over to elements and get you, and you, and you, and you. And make sure we basically kill out our smoothing groups. There we go. Now I'm going to go back over to create, make a tube. The tube will sit nice and pretty right here at this point. So we'll drag that up, drag that in, click that up. We don't need so many segments along the height, so we'll kill those down. Shift drag out a copy like so, and then click OK. Let's center those up. And we can probably just call that. So now if I make a nice marquee selection out here in space, get all these guys, and then we can hit M, apply, close, F4, get out of here, and there we are. Now, we still got some stuff to mirror over. I'm not going to worry about that until we get some more of this stuff on this one side all taken care of. So that is going to wrap things up for this video, and actually, it looks like I'm building on one side and then building on the other, and I really shouldn't do that. So we're done, technically, but I'm going to do one quick thing before I let you go. And so I'm going to grab all these guys and this dude, and they're going clear over to the other side, like so. All right, so there we go. We've starting to get this under part taken care of. That is going to wrap things up for this video. I wanted to give a big thank you out to all of our member sponsors, and I will catch you all on the next episode of Modeling on the Fly with 3ds Max.